sales rep on the call or someone from the company to like speak to it, and I didn't. And so basically they were just like, we want more information before we agree to this, but now it's too late to do the application, so we have to wait till spring. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like Rab's online. Jack's note taker is on.
Oh, no way.
How'd you do that?
Some credit,
Okay.
Netherland credit.
When did they start showing movies on Thursday?
It's
Oh,
just
video.
it's a special thing they do, I think, once a month.
They used to, okay, so I just ate dinner.
Sorry.
They used to do it for the science fiction club,
Mhm.
but the sci-fi club stopped doing it. So
Yeah.
that's why I was wondering what was going on.
Yeah.
Oh, that takes some.
I don't know.
It's good
I
to have
claim
you.
they're supposed to tell me what's
But
going
that
on,
was
but I
the
still don't
sci-fi
know.
club.
I feel terrible about the goals, by the way. And I thought about it so many times the last month and I never actually like sat down.
You're not the only one. You are in fact the only one I got.
Really?
Mhm.
Wow.
So don't feel so terrible. We'll get there. We'll get there.
I just had a conversation with somebody else about how there's only a few board members that fully on board, but
Rob, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Is he the
Thank
only
you.
one online?
He's the only one. Like,
Now I can hear you.
okay,
Mhm.
cool.
ready to start?
Yeah. We will call the meeting to order at 6:51 PM, 6:52 PM. This changed without starting.
Mhm.
We have Erica, Rich, Melody in person, along with Cass Sustainability Coordinator, and we have Rab online. The first action item is to approve just the August meeting minutes. Jack did not get the September ones done. If you noticed, they were, the ones that were in the drive were just a copy of August with no changes. I had some comments about August of, I think we need to put the name of the person that makes the motion and the second in the minute.
Okay, so I agree.
Mhm.
And since we're using this sort of like AI system, perhaps what we should do is something along the lines of this. I, Rich Orman, move that the motion, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I, so-and-so, second.
Yeah.
And that way, that'll create the record.
Yeah, because one time I looked at the AI like summary notes, and because it's like the owl, it wasn't able to like determine who was making the motion in the second. So that's a good idea.
So I, Rich Orman, move that we approve the minutes. Actually, I guess we shouldn't since the names aren't.
Well, we can just do it start next time.
Okay, I, Rich Orman, move that we approve the minutes from the August meeting.
I, Erica Curley, second that motion.
All right, and we will call a vote, starting online. Rab,
Yes.
Erica,
Yes.
Rich,
Yes.
and Melody, yes. Motion passed.
Rab's got his baby with him.
Oh, yeah.
Or all want to see.
Oh,
Wow.
goody. Look at those adorables.
Very cute.
I love babies. All right,
In case anybody's wondering, his name's Vigo.
Vigo,
Vigo.
like Vigo Mortensen?
Just like Vigo Mortensen, because my wife's Danish.
Yeah.
awesome.
Very cool.
All right, we will move on to the first discussion item, which is the Colorado Energy Office Local Impact Accelerator Grant.
Mhm. So I wrote an aim for this one. And I also presented this to the Planning Commission last night. And got some feedback, but essentially this grant is something from the Colorado Energy Office. They got funds from the EPA before the whole like funding freeze that the administration put on like most of the grants of this nature. So they do have the money to distribute, which is great. They want to focus on different areas within climate action. But I also know that like they're very particular about some of the language that they're using. So essentially they're like, whatever we use in the guidance is like okay for you to use when you're applying in terms of like what types of policies and why you're applying. So they're focusing on buildings, land use, waste, and transportation, I believe I believe there's four. Land, yeah, I said land use, buildings,
Decarb.
I think decarb is the same as, I think those are like the four areas. So they also, in their guidance outlined a number of policies that are examples of things that they would basically support, which is really helpful for us. So they primarily want this to be a policy accelerator grant. So all of the policies that they listed are kind of like the gateway to getting project funding. So the project funding, in the way that I'm looking at it, is more of the incentive for doing the policies. So you cannot apply for just project funding. You have to do a policy as like the primary thing. And you don't have to do just one policy, you can do multiple. The other thing with this letter of intent is that it is not just your typical, like, we want to do this grant and we're thinking this. Like, it has to be basically 60% of a full application. So it's a good amount of work that we're going to put into this letter of intent, and then the full application's due in February. And then the awards are announced in April. So I can go on to what the policy options are unless there's any questions about the grant itself.
My only question is that you can't go for the DRCOG grant and the accelerator grant for decarbonization. Right.
Yeah,
So if you're going for the DRCOG,
Yes.
then you can't go for the accelerator grant for decarbonization.
I think if it's project funding you're looking for. What I heard was that policy funding was okay.
I
But
could double up on policy.
you could, because they just want policy to happen. But yes, like I think they're encouraging us as DRCOG jurisdictions to focus on like land use, transportation, waste more.
And then my understanding is that waste efforts would not be very competitive for this grant.
Yes, that I heard that as well from Anna. So Anna's with CC4CA and she's who we've talked to, and she's going to help us with this letter of intent. But yeah, she said the same thing. And then I also think that once you submit your letter of intent, they'll give you encourage or discourage, and then they'll kind of outline the policies or whatever you put in your application that they really like, and then maybe kind of like what they don't like, so that in your full application you tailor it to that. And then they have different budgets. So they have the like constrained budget, and this is where it gets a little tricky because they said the constrained budget was up to $500,000 in funding, which for Denver, like that's not maybe a significant budget for a grant for some of like the stuff that they want to do, but for the town of Nederland, it's quite a bit of money. And so like they call it the constrained budget, but for us, it's like, that's actually quite a bit. So talking with Anna, she basically said, like, don't worry so much about the amounts and think more about it in terms of like capacity. So if we only have so much capacity, if we only have so much capacity to do certain policies and projects, then just focus on those ones. And then they have like 2 more funding tiers that you're supposed to basically say, this is what we would do with a standard budget, and then this is what we would do with like all the money in the world, essentially, like up to $5 million is what they say. Which we know that they're not going to give us $5 million. So to catch you up a little bit, this is a local impact accelerator grant through the Colorado Energy Office. And they want us, those of us who are applying, to focus on policies that essentially are very community driven and are working to advance local climate and energy goals. And they have the sectors of buildings, land use, transportation, and waste. And because we are a DRCOG community, we're like with the Denver Regional Council of Governments, they want us to focus more on the land use, transportation, and waste, because the buildings sector is kind of being covered by DRCOG funding. So they don't want to like overlap so much. So in this AIM, I have policies that I took from their actual guidance. So these are things that they already basically are approving of. But the main thing is that they want us to go above and beyond like policies that are, you know, like already required. So if we wanted to, the first one is adopting enhanced building energy policies. So if we did this one, they would want us to basically pursue amendments to our energy code that go beyond the model low energy and carbon code that was already basically created by the state. And so that one has potentially including like allowances requirements for solar on multifamily or mixed use developments. I think this is where like balcony solar could come in if we wanted to do some kind of local policy on balcony solar. I don't know like how that would work, but that could be in that area of enhancing building energy policies. In the AIM, I also put like which comp plan strategy they align with, because I know the BOT will want to know those things. The next one is advancing ADU friendly policies, which I will say Planning Commission was very enthusiastic about this one because they want to see more ADUs being built for, you know, affordability and more housing. So with this one, we can become a ADU supportive jurisdiction, which basically encompasses these things: exceeding baseline certification requirements, offering pre-approved ADU plans, technical assistance, and fee waivers. So this is like policy, and then in the project section, I also have a project funding that's related to it, where like we would create pre-approved ADU designs that like town has already basically been like, these are good to go. At the meeting last night with Planning Commission, they did bring up the point that like there isn't a ton of flat ground. So like they're not sure how much like pre-approved plans would even work for most Nederland residents and like and properties. So like it's a good point, something to think about. Like maybe we don't go in that direction with the ADUs, but we could still provide like rebates or some kind of incentive on fees. They also said potentially looking at tap fee subsidies. So like water and sewer. I don't know if that would even qualify in this grant, or if it's something that like the BOT would want to do, but we could look into using grant funding for subsidies for that.
Who brought up tap fee reduction? Planning Commission?
Planning Commission, yeah.
That's like a long-term financial burden to put on the town and its existing residents.
Yeah, I think it's something that's been discussed a lot too, when it comes to this whole affordable housing thing, because
Mhm.
we have generally waived those kinds of fees for any like affordable housing development.
Hmm.
And so that's part of why we don't necessarily have a robust, you know,
Water.
fund for
Fund.
that.
Gotcha. Mhm. Yeah, and this, as we know, has a timeline to it. So it's something that like, if we're gonna offer those incentives now, like they would go away at some point, and so it's something to keep in mind.
But what this would be the grant funding would cover
Mhm.
those fees. So
I think that would be the idea, yeah.
we wouldn't necessarily be out. It would just be the customer would get that rebated.
Up to $500,000. That, yeah, total.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
And then the next one is eliminate minimum off-street parking requirements, which I will say the planning commission members were less enthusiastic about this, mostly because they saw it as reducing the amount of parking we have, which is not necessarily true. It's just like if there's a new development, not allocating so much space to like the parking area around it and making it more like walkable, but it's hard in our town to make things walkable when like a lot of people are driving up here, or have cars to get around and get down to Boulder and all those things.
I think it makes more sense in a place like Boulder.
Mhm.
And where really there's plenty of parking anyway,
Mhm.
versus here where there isn't. You know, imagine that we said to T-Bow, well, when you rebuild the shopping center, just take half the parking lot,
Right.
take out all the parking spaces. What that would do to the town, it would be really detrimental. to the
Right.
whole town. And there's no buses to take people into the city center here. Now, if you live in Old Town, what if you can walk or I guess I theoretically could walk from Sunnyside, but I can tell you, I've done it once since I moved to Meadow. I walked to something one time. And that was not gonna do it again.
Mhm.
Well, I guess in an emergency,
Mhm.
but I think that parking, we don't have enough parking in peak times. And I don't think we should do something that is gonna result in
Mhm.
less parking.
Right. That makes
And
sense.
I was just looking at our town's minimum parking requirements, and they don't seem all that onerous.
Mhm.
I will say that the last, at least 3 or 4 times that I can remember, a major project has come through, the board has waived any parking requirements
Oh, interesting.
because they don't. Feasibly, the businesses as they exist don't necessarily have the parking to meet the minimum requirements.
Mm.
Some of them do, but not.
So they're just putting in as much parking as they can anyway, and it's not even meeting the minimum. Yeah, that, very good points. And I think that was probably similar to what the PC was thinking as well. So yeah, they were not enthusiastic about that one. Number 4 is adopt a complete streets policy. So with this one, there's like some guidelines and toolkits out there for what a complete streets policy looks like, but essentially it's just making like any new development or roadway improvement to have like bike, pedestrian, transit infrastructure in mind. So that would be like with the multimodal plan, we have a lot of different ideas for adding new pedestrian and bike infrastructure. And it aligns with like that plan as well as the comp plan. But then this would just be like an actual policy instead of just kind of like something that's in our plans, you know? And then we could use the project funding for active transportation fund planning, which would basically be like, we have our multimodal plan that says we want to do, you know, these different pedestrian pathway improvements, or we want to do these bike path improvements, but they're not shovel ready. We couldn't apply to a grant that's for construction funding and say we want to do this because they'd be like, where's your plan? So the idea for the project funding would be to pay contractors, consultants to like make those plans for us, so then we could bring that to, you know, a construction grant basically, or if we find the money for it in our budget, and be able to do those improvements. And then the last one is establishing an EV first fleet procurement policy. So SAB has talked about this before. Basically, we want to look at what types of EVs are available when our town vehicles are going out of commission, and seeing if it makes sense to replace it with an EV. I haven't looked into like what this means in particular, but I believe like it wouldn't mean like if we were trying to replace like the water truck with an EV, if that like just doesn't exist out there or it's just way too expensive, then we wouldn't necessarily be like we have to get an EV water truck and we're gonna wait 5 years until it's like the technology is there. So that would be like the extreme, but I believe this is more of just kind of what we've said already, but just in a policy, so the BOT would like vote on it, and it would be something that like utilities and parks would also be like required to do when they look at new vehicles, which is where our vehicles are. Yeah, so that was a lot, but those are the 5 policies that we kind of identified from the guidance that align with the comprehensive plan. And so I can tell you what planning commission preferred. I already kind of did, if you want.
Yeah.
Okay, so pretty much everybody thought that the ADU friendly policies and then the building energy policies were like top priority. They listed that as like they ranked them basically, and they listed those as 1 and 2. The other top one would be the complete streets policy was people's like number 2 and 3. And then it was the EV first fleet policy, and then yeah, the complete or the off-street parking requirements, that one was not popular. And I would say that they basically were like, don't pursue this one. So that was their recommendation. And we can do a ranking thing as well, like if we want to talk about it, and then everyone can go around and kind of like rank what they wanted to do. That's what PC wanted to do, but we don't have to do that either. We could do just like a collective if everyone has a similar idea.
Can I ask a quick question? So as far as number 1, does the town already have written goals to go beyond the IECC recommended adoptions?
They do not have a goal that says specifically go beyond IECC. I think the ones that I were seeing was just general like green building codes and energy efficient building codes.
And then is Netherland participating in the Dr. Collins Building Policy Collaborative?
We are. We're gonna use the funding for training and certifications and conferences, because that was all I could get approved when I was, yeah, trying to figure out like what we could use that funding for.
So I asked because is there any conflict with being part of the building performance or building policy collaborative already with their amendment goals and different adoption options as far as code? Because they wouldn't want this to be redundant
Right.
with something and then null the application.
So from what I've heard from Anna, this policy would still qualify going beyond the model low energy code, because like this would be us trying to like get funding in order to like maybe hire outside consultants or do whatever we need to do to like actually get that policy passed. Well, I'm not sure that with the building policy collaborative, we really have much of that support. Like I know that they have Lotus Engineering as like the technical assistance, but it's unclear to me like how much time they're gonna spend on like each jurisdiction and if that's like enough for Netherland to get there.
I heard last week there's 10 hours per member.
Okay.
So you're right, that's not that much. But I just wouldn't want because it's so close to what's already being done for the Dr. Cobb grant,
Hmm.
that it then isn't competitive.
Right.
We're like going for the ADU or the EV first policy is
Mhm.
really different.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good point. And we can put that one in the application as like ideally, right? Like if we had more funding, if you gave us more funding, we would also do this. And so that one doesn't need to be like our top policy priority. But I think that's a good question to clarify as well. So I'll talk to Anna about that and see if she has any insight.
I mean, I'm only
Can-
also curious as to how much stricter we can even go with the policy.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Rob.
Give us a little bit more background on what the sentiment in the room was about the EV first policy. It sounds like the planning commission was interested in the planning type policies, which is not all that
Mhm.
surprising.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be surprising if SAB was, you know, had different priorities of interest than the planning commission.
Yeah. So I would say that when I presented this to planning commission, like the first thing they said was ADUs. Like basically everyone in the room was like, well, we need more ADUs. We want more ADUs. We want to make this easier, more financially feasible because essentially they just want more housing options and more affordable housing options in the community. And that's kind of like, I think their main focus for how to get there is incentivizing ADUs. Because it's a lot, I think like in a small town, it's a lot easier to get people who have property to build ADUs rather than try and find property and get a developer to build like a multifamily unit or something like that. So that was their idea. It's also listed in the comp plan a few times. And I know that like when I mentioned this to Britt, when we were first looking at the different policies, she like pointed this one out and was like, Planning Commission's gonna really want this. Because they talk about like how to make ADUs easier all the time.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I just a request on the sentiment about EVs because as you stated, like it can be an and type scenario.
Mhm.
And I think that there's probably a lot of support for ADUs for, from SAB as well.
Mhm.
I was just wondering, so there's this divide between policies and projects, and it seems like, yeah. So just trying to get a sense of the sentiment in the room about if there was any opposition to EV first or if just ADUs were preferred.
No, yeah, I don't think that there was opposition to the EV first. They really didn't have much to say about it. But I was surprised that some of them ranked that like two people ranked that as top as the second like most important, which I was surprised by because no one really talked about the EV first procurement policy when we were having the discussion. But obviously for some people that was like very important. Um,
Does the town have many vehicles that would lend themselves to being substituted with an EV? I mean,
we have a number of trucks, I
Like
would say.
4,
Mhm.
maybe about.
okay, so pickup trucks.
Pickup, yeah, a number of pickup trucks.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
I could see, like, if you're getting there, the carbon emissions reduction impact of an ADU policy would far outweigh that of vehicle procurement for Netherlands, given the few fleet vehicles that we do have that would qualify, would be my guess, right? And then
Yeah.
also thinking about the tax revenue, the larger kind of land use benefit, if there just would be a lot of co-benefits that you could talk about in a grant. That would probably make it more competitive.
I think the thing about the EVs is we already have the EV plan with High. We have some background on it and it's just a matter of getting the board to commit to purchasing those vehicles in the near future.
Mhm.
And so I think maybe that ranks high because it's an easier box to check
Mm.
than some other things, like ADUs have been discussed a lot. I agree with planning commission that they've talked about it a whole lot. We've tried to make them something that people build more in Netherland, and I think an important note there is making sure that when we're talking about the ADUs that we want to incentivize, we're talking about ones with plumbing.
Mhm.
Because not necessarily all of them in town currently do, and I think that's a portion of why the ADUs we have aren't really absorbing that housing requirement because they don't have running water. It's just a place where you can sleep and you might have an electric kettle and an electric cook stove, but you don't have a bathroom and you have to go somewhere else for that. So I think making sure that whatever we're incentivizing is something that is livable is an important point.
Right.
And all of that, I think, can take much longer for folks to agree on as it goes through planning commission,
Mhm.
and such.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I like it. That was my number one. Sure.
Yeah, I also think you make a good point with the EV policy, because if we already have all this work that we've done with the planning and everything to like have an EV first policy, that would be a lot easier box to check, but that means that we don't really need much funding to like check the box.
Yeah.
And so like they would, probably ask about that and be like, how much work have you done to this point on these different things? And like, we really haven't done much with the ADUs, right? But we do have a lot of work with EVs. So we could still do an EV first procurement policy, but it might not be funded by this grant. Like, they might not want to fund it.
I would just say to the contrary, if there's a lot of work already done for the EVs, there's no reason for that not to be an and. If it
Mhm.
doesn't require a lot of funding, it could just sweeten whatever we do put in front, like front and center for ADUs or whatever other priorities.
Yeah, it could definitely be an and, definitely add on.
I just don't see how it's lack of a better term grant. It's, I could write an EV first procurement policy in 3 minutes
Mhm.
that I think would be totally legally valid.
Mhm.
And
You don't need a consultant
you
to
don't
do
need a
that.
consultant, you don't need
Yeah.
money to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you'd have to have our town lawyer look it over.
Mhm.
It just seems pointless to me to chase a grant for that.
Yeah, I think if we added in, it would definitely be like an and we would like to do this as well, but it's not like the main focus. And like Erica was saying, the like emissions reduction is much more appealing with the ADUs than this type of EV policy.
I mean, this grant, if I remember correctly, you can actually apply just for like purchasing green space and like adopting a strong green space preservation policy.
Mhm.
And then buying like a $1.8 million piece of land and just keeping it as is.
Yeah, and I know there's some qualifiers to like purchasing property with it. But yes, I have heard of that as well.
And Rich, just for the record, I think to have a successful EV procurement policy, you do have to do a lot of engagement, a lot of like numbers, really getting the financial information, long-term upkeep,
Well,
all that stuff.
That goes to the decision making at the time of purchase. But if just to have the town have a policy that the preferred vehicle is an EV vehicle,
Right,
the
that's
time of
what I'm here.
time of purchase doesn't require any of that. Because you're not going to require it. You're just going to say it's a preference or it's the preferred outcome. Doesn't mean it's the mandatory outcome. So frankly, if a vehicle is going to be purchased in 5 years, any work you do now, cost or anything like that is going to totally outdated
Yeah.
by the time you actually have to do it. You have to do it all over again. But I don't even know how much that is. I mean, to me, it's sort of like buying a car. You buy a car, you look at, this is how much it costs, this is the maintenance, this is what the fuel's gonna be. I think any consumer can do that in an afternoon and have a pretty good idea of what all that is. And I don't think it needs to be all that complicated.
Mhm. That's fair.
Yeah, I've spoken with two different like fleet EV providers down in Denver too, that both have different ways to like cut costs for municipalities, and they're like, yeah, when you're ready to shop for a vehicle, let us know.
Hmm.
So
Okay. What does everyone think about the complete streets policy?
I think that's another big thing we've talked about for a long time, and completing those. I mean, the Trails Master Plan, I think is like 2012. I think they updated one in 2016, 2017, but it's essentially the same, and make that trail connectivity through town. I like the idea of getting trail maintenance equipment. I know that's been a challenge.
Mhm. Yeah, but as far as like the policy goes, because like I think that, well, I'll jump ahead a little bit and just say that Planning Commission definitely ranked let's see, I have it this one. They ranked the projects as well.
Yeah.
And they all ranked them the same, 1, 2, 4, 3. So they ranked ADU as top, active transportation planning as second, electric transit shuttle, and then electric equipment. Which so basically I think they were just very set on the active transportation planning and the ADUs. And so like I think regardless, because we don't, whatever policies we do, the projects don't actually have to be in the same topic or category. So that's kind of weird, but nice, because we can say we want to do this policy in land use, but we want to do this project in transportation. So as long as it aligns with like their goals for the grant, it's okay for us to do. Um, so as far as like a complete streets policy versus like doing the planning to make our trails and such complete and ready to be implemented. Yeah, I'm just wondering like what do you all think about the policy side of things?
Sort of agree with where they came down as far as the order. So this is the idea that you would, on that electric shuttle thing, that you have literally have a electric bus or something that would take people from somewhere to somewhere
Mhm.
on a half an hour basis every day.
Yeah, so we had the Ned Rec. Yeah, we had the Ned Rec shuttle, which I never tried myself, but it ran for a little bit in the winter. And so the idea was to basically do that shuttle again. And it went to, I think it went to Eldora.
Outdoor makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
And then out to Mud Lake.
yes, to Mud Lake, and then to town and
I'm
to,
reading it, I
Mhm.
thought it was downtown here every half an hour. And I thought, no, it's gonna take-
oh, no, I think it might have a stop at the community center, but it would go further. Yeah,
And yeah, and when Wild Bear opens, it would be
Yeah.
a stop
Well, that
there.
makes a lot of sense,
yeah.
especially if I'm
Looking farther ahead. I mean, policy wise, I feel like we have a lot of policy and plans on this. It's just a matter of getting those shovel-ready projects.
Yeah.
Like, we know where the crosswalk needs to be. We just need to put it in.
Right.
Like pedestrian safety, I think part of that is laying brick, like a different type of surface than street where the crosswalks are. Like that's part of the improved safety and the comp plan, and especially the First Street downtown sub-plan, that's what they call it. And the traffic circle, redesigning the traffic circle to like calm traffic or whatever. all of that is about pedestrian safety.
Mhm. I think
If they had any ideas on what could be amended.
yeah, that one, not so much. I think they were also like very intrigued by the idea of like getting these plans to the implementation phase. But then like the policy side of things, I think is more like it's more like if our BOT changes and all of a sudden they're like, we don't want to prioritize pedestrians, we don't care about like which, we probably won't happen up here. But if they're like, we don't want to focus on those things, then like we already have this policy in place that kind of protects that thinking and that like idea of trying to keep all new development, all new roadway improvements, like focused on different modes of transportation rather than just cars. And
One board of trustees.
no,
Take any action. Any policy that is enacted
Mhm.
can just as easily be unenacted.
Mhm.
So we shouldn't really think that that's gonna happen. I mean, and
Mhm.
frankly, we shouldn't be trying to tell future democratically elected board of trustees
Mhm.
what they should or shouldn't do. That's for them to decide.
Mhm.
We can't bind them, unless like it's a constitutional amendment.
Well, and I'm not sure what stronger policy we could make other than adopting it in the comprehensive plan, which was done. Like, what
Mhm.
else would we do?
Mhm. Yeah, I think it would just be its own policy. And yeah, if maybe that's not something that we really need to focus on.
How big of a shuttle bus would we need?
How big was the last one?
Quick question, doesn't Eldora have one?
Well, there's a bus.
Eldora has a shuttle itself, yeah.
Okay, it's just not an electric one.
I don't think it's electric.
Is it open? to
I
the
thought
public or is
Hunter
it
had said they
closed?
were trying to buy an electric shuttle and
They-
I thought they got one.
Well, they have a couple that they haven't been using because they're grossly underpowered. And
Okay,
they,
maybe that was
but
it
they've,
then.
yeah, so, and they've had that for a few years, so that may not be what Hunter was talking about. And the current shuttle just, does it go all the way into town
You're saying
or does
that's
it
a
just go to the
facility
high
we might
school?
Procure,
Yeah.
in which case that would be ours too.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it goes like to the park and ride or not, or if it's just the high school.
Right,
Well, I think the intention with the high school is that's the only place that can absorb the traffic or the parking.
Parking.
If you
Yeah.
brought it to town, you'd have to absorb the cars that brought people up. Because I think there's a minority of people who are actually taking the bus from Boulder up to go skiing at Eldora.
Mhm.
Not to say that it doesn't happen, but I think the high school is on that route already anyway.
Yeah,
but yeah, the parking, I'm guessing at the RTD lot mainly serves the RTD bus passengers.
Yeah, I would say that's
And-
true.
And others.
Eldora has a couple of paths that are not open. But they don't use them. I talked to them last year about trying to, investigate whether we could put bigger batteries in them and bigger engines and bigger motors.
you can't really replace the
Right.
motor, a
Right.
bigger one in an existing vehicle. And I don't think there's any way a electric bus is gonna have anything like the torque that a electric car has.
I drove an electric garbage truck today.
You did?
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Was it the green girl truck? No,
this is
it's
the
different.
Dry Clean Colorado.
Oh, nice.
And Maki Valley. Back to my car.
Oh.
It's very fun. But the garbage truck was not
So-
that bad, just in
Oh.
case you're wondering.
Okay.
But they did have a minibus there that was electric.
So I'm not super close to the EV bus world, but I have ridden on electric buses in major cities before, and I don't see why like 40-foot long buses, and I don't see why there shouldn't be something in the market that is appropriate. I know that road is up to Eldora is steep, but if it's a traction issue, that's one thing, but that should also apply to regular ICE buses. And yeah, I don't see why there's shouldn't be a reason that a bus can't go 30 miles an hour up that road. It doesn't compute for me.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know about the state of the art on that, but I just know that the buses they have now at the ski area are woefully underpowered.
Mhm. Interesting.
Did we decide on policy options in vote?
So that's, yeah, I was gonna say, do we want to each go around and everyone rank theirs, unless we think that everyone kind of feels the same?
Well, I guess I'm thinking like, I'm not necessarily so sure we need to rank them if we're talking about whatever policy we pass, we want, they just want to see that we're demonstrating, an aggressive policy strategy. And it doesn't necessarily need to be linked to project funding. I would say we put in the things like three, maybe four things
Mm-hmm.
that, yes, we are working on. This is how far we're getting on them. This is where we're at. These are the plans we've adopted. These are the policies we have. And not necessarily limit it to just our top
Mm-hmm.
pick. But we can rank them to try to narrow down that if that's so. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, would it be fair to say that we probably don't want to include the minimum off-street parking requirements policy? Okay. All right, so that one's off the table. I think from what I was hearing, the ADU policy was pretty high in priority. And then it was kind of EV was like, this should be easy to check the box, and so we can put it on there as something like we want to do because we put work towards it, and so it's showing like we want to do multiple policies. And then I think the building energy policies, we wanted a bit more information on to see if it would make sense. So assuming right now that we can pursue the building energy policies and it would not make us less competitive. So obviously if we get other information that this would change, but if we assume that it is competitive for us to apply for that, how does everyone feel about doing building energy policies going beyond the like code that they already have?
I think if we set like a size requirement of above X square feet or for commercial spaces or something like that, it would be great. I don't necessarily know what that looks like when we're talking about also approving ADUs in people's backyards that are 300 square feet, say, or less. If it didn't hinder those builds at all, then sure.
What are we at for code right now? Are we 2021?
We are 2018 because yeah, we're skipping 2021.
Okay. And what's the town's plan for the low energy carbon code? The state is requiring adoption if you update by July or after July 1st.
Yeah, we have not had that conversation yet. I was waiting for us to have an energy code meeting, which I thought was going to happen by now, and it's not. To bring that up, so I will talk to Britt about that.
So my understanding at a Dr. Cog meeting last week was that if you make any kind of code adoption,
Mhm.
like, with the exception of wildfire code adoption,
Mhm.
after July 1st of 2026, you have to adopt the state's low energy carbon code,
Mhm.
which was just recently published in September. And that that's preferred over the 2024 IECC code adoption as is. So if that's already gonna happen, no matter what,
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, how much Netherland would entertain strengthening amendments anyways, right?
Yeah, and they will not fund us to get to baseline. And if the model low energy and
Yeah.
carbon code is baseline, because they're requiring us to adopt it, then they're not going to fund us to get there. You have to go beyond it. So
And that gets really tricky from like an expectations,
Yeah.
permitting and communication. Just support in general for
Yeah.
developers. And then I also wonder, like, how much land do we have yet to be developed? Right? Like, what would be the greenhouse gas emission reductions of that policy versus like the ADU?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if the ADU would have more greenhouse gas emission reduction impact and like other co-benefits to the town.
Yeah, I think my question on building energy policy is, are there other options besides going beyond the low energy code? You know, like you mentioned requiring solar installations on bigger things, bigger development. So like, is there ways we can get there with our energy policy without necessarily going beyond the standard energy code? Because we are Soul Smart Silver designated, you know, I think there was some hurdles over going further, but maybe there's other things we can do like that would still qualify for enhanced building energy policies.
yeah, so their policies that they listed in the guidance are adopt high performance and low carbon building codes. So basically exactly what we have in here about going beyond the model low energy and carbon code. And then the other one they have is adopt and implement building performance standards. So adopt enforceable standards that require large existing buildings to meet operational energy or emissions performance targets over time.
And again, the other piece of this too, that I'm saying out loud to remind myself is that you don't have to actually accomplish this policy. It has to just be something that you're working towards, correct? Like with the Dr. Cog.
Yes, and I think you need like a written letter of support from your elected officials.
I don't think, is it elected officials or is it just the town manager? Dr.
I
Cog
thought,
is the town manager.
I thought that for the impact accelerator it was elected officials, but I will also double check.
But so in that frame of reference, then we could do something like require the regular energy code for residential homes that are under 2,000 square feet, under 3,000 square feet, wherever you want to set the line, and require net zero for anything larger than that, and require net zero on new commercial structures larger than X square feet. Right, where we could, where we could pass that policy, but make sure that it's not impacting your local couple who just moved here, you know, and it's only impacting bigger developments. That's just my thought of how we more easily pass a policy like that.
I'm now thinking like the ADU and the transportation and the EV kind of in that order. I don't know what others are
That
thinking.
makes sense to me.
Sorry,
I
can you
like
say
that.
that again? You said ADU.
ADU number 1, complete streets number 2, and EV number 3. Or priority ranking.
And I think those will be competitive.
I think so too. And I can do some more digging on like what you're talking about with building performance standards of like buildings of certain sizes having different requirements.
Just see if that's something they consider aggressive policy. You know,
Right.
if it's not required of everybody, but just of those larger buildings.
Mhm.
You know, because we have
Does
hopefully
Boulder
one
have that?
building
Does
that will
Boulder
be.
County have that
finished
or
in-
Big Mount?
They do, yeah. What's your threshold?
Yeah, I don't know what the threshold would be, but
The other thing is like, how much would it cost to do that research and things like that? The
Mhm.
building performance statement. Or the same thing numbers, just like first bullet or something.
Just a quick question about the building energy portion. Are we talking about exclusively new builds and separating those by size? Or are we talking about even just like a change to a structure that then triggers a code cycle like upgrade requirement? Because I mean, if we're talking about new builds, I don't think that there's any reason why Netherlands shouldn't be aggressive in its policies for building electrification and low carbon policies towards new structures.
I think the only conflict in my mind is those ADUs and building ADUs.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like there's, you know, a continuing housing crisis and you know, there's, you know, lower barriers for people to get in homes. But if somebody is constructing anything, including an ADU, it's going to be around for, you know, 50 plus years. And it seems like, you know, almost low hanging fruit for someone to be required to increase their insulation budget, for example, from like a greenhouse gas perspective.
The Boulder County over 5,000 square feet, new homes must be zero net energy, meaning they produce as much energy as they consume.
That's big.
And then for the city of Boulder, over
that's
3,000 square feet requires a pre-renewable energy first score of 50 or lower and mandates electrification. If that helps, Rob.
Yeah, and I think the mandating electrification is a tough thing to try to throw around here at the moment.
Mhm.
So the concern is that we would have to go beyond those requirements in order for this grant, and that's the concern.
No, this is just what the Boulder County and the city of Boulder are doing, which is beyond IECC code.
Is that unincorporated Boulder County then?
Unincorporated is 5,000 square feet, must be zero net energy,
Mhm.
5,000 above. And then city of Boulder is 3,000 or above, requires the HERS score of 50 or lower and mandates electrification.
And they have other examples from different places, like Denver mandates a 30% GHG emissions reduction by 2030 for commercial and multifamily buildings that are less than 25,000 square feet.
That's their building.
Yes,
So that's like already existing, have to get better
yes,
versus what I just read is like new,
yeah.
right?
So all these net zero requirements are really just mandating solar, because there's not really any other energy generation that's reliable. Like maybe you could make the case for wind in some cases, but really they're just mandating solar, right?
Well, it's a combination of high efficiency and on-site power generation. And
Yes.
I have an issue with this because as the grid becomes cleaner, you know, individual small solar arrays are not necessarily the solution. I mean, they are now, but in the near future, it's going to be larger arrays with the economy of scale. Or more like integrated neighborhoods, like a virtual power plant. Which I guess on-site rooftop could be like that if it's set up like that for neighborhoods.
Right.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's the direction we want to go. I mean, I wish they could figure out something with like community solar garden subscriptions. But that was really tough to actually like mandate it and to have people sign up and be able to like follow them with that house.
Mhm.
I guess we're getting in the weeds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
Um,
I would just close by saying like to point that was previously made, you could make a carve out for ADUs, or you could make a carve out on the square footage basis. But anybody who's, you know, building a house or other structure that's going to be occupied, I don't know if it makes a ton of sense to try to loosen restrictions on new builds of really any kind, unless you know, with the exception of carve outs to help the current state of the housing crisis. But I think, you know, if somebody's spending you know, almost $1 million on a new build, I don't see why they can't spend, you know, let's call it 50 grand more for it to be carbon neutral.
Here, 50 grand to make it carbon neutral isn't going to do much, because it's not, 50 grand will cover 7.5, 8 kilowatts, right? And that's enough for your normal electric load, but not for heat up here.
Well, but new houses, the envelope is so tight that you're not gonna need a very big heat pump. We're looking at new houses in Marshall, the Marshall Fire rebuilds that are a few thousand square feet, and they're using like 1 or 2 ton heat pumps because they're just so tight. I mean, I agree, like it's gonna be a large load, but nowhere near like Big Bistain.
Frankly, if I'm building a house, and I have $1 million. I want something, I gotta spend $50,000 on something else. I just. And I don't think, I don't know, to me, that is interfering with economics of a person trying to find a place, build a place to live. And I just don't think we should be telling people to spend that kind of money. It's easy to say, require it. It's not so easy to do when you're coming up with money to do something.
I hear what you're saying, Rich, but you know, if the metric is, you know, 50 grand, then that's 5% of $1 million budget. And you know, I think there's a lot of houses that are being built in the area, if not within the municipality, that are costing a lot more than that. So, as a percentage of the budget, I don't think we're, you know, sticking it to the have-nots with a policy like this.
Even the haves don't have unlimited money. And even the haves, when they're budgeting to build a house
In Netherlands.
in Netherlands, $50,000 or $20,000 or $10,000 can make a huge difference in whether they can even do it or not. So.
Well, I mean, to the contrary, I would just say that, and I think we're getting in the weeds maybe a little bit. Maybe
Yeah,
we should
very
just not sidetrack. But
Yeah.
if there's people putting solar on legacy houses and they see the cost benefit, you know, there might be a cost benefit to putting solar on new builds too, and that might, even if their mortgage, if they have any, is more, their energy bills will be less. There's a question of whether or not it's actually going to cost them anything in the net.
And I put a really big system on my house, and I don't pay electric bills except for the little administrative charge. I haven't paid an electric bill since I put it up, but I don't think it's gonna, I don't know that it'll even pay for itself in the useful lifespan of the system I put up. I put it up for other reasons. So I mean, we're gonna,
Yeah,
it's not gonna be up to us in the end anyway.
I think like some of this could be figured out like as part of the like, we want to do this. Okay. How do we, part of the process. How do we actually get there? So I think it's good to like kind of think about these things now and be like, is this something that we think is even something we want to approach? So yeah, I guess.
Yeah, if we get the grant, then we'll get a lot more information to help with discussions like this.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, basically, is this something that we want to like pursue, do some community engagement around, hire people to kind of help us figure out what makes sense for Nederland, that kind of thing? Or do we want to not really touch it and just go with the ADUs, complete streets EV?
heard anyone say it.
I think it's just, do we want to include the energy policy or not?
I'm just wondering if it's gonna be competitive. I think the low energy carbon code is already gonna be so aggressive.
Yeah.
And with legislation that requires not only to adopt it,
Mhm,
if any other code triggers.
mhm.
And I can't imagine if you all probably aren't gonna adopt it before July first.
No.
So it's probably gonna be the low energy carbon code.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's based on 2024 IECC.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, and we'll have support from DRCOG, you know, even if it's not like as much as you could get here, like it's still gonna be helpful in our process, so. Okay, yeah, that's very helpful. And then in terms of the projects, we talked about them, the ADU support. So this is like financial support for technical assistance, potentially creating plans, permit fee waivers, those kinds of things, as a project. So it's very much like just like financial assistance. And then active transportation planning, like we said, getting things to shovel ready. The electric equipment for trail maintenance. So this one, there's a state requirement that certain equipment under, you know, a certain horsepower used for landscaping by municipalities, by landscaping companies needs to be electric. And we do not have the budget to like purchase that electric equipment for like weed whackers, snow blowers, those kinds of things. So we are still looking for funding for that, and it potentially might be something we can like tack on to this grant as like, could we get project funding to like buy some of these landscaping equipment items? Probably not the maintenance vehicles, just because I don't think that's actually part of the requirement because they're too high in horsepower. And then the fourth one is that the electric transit shuttle. And then that would be paired with like EV charging infrastructure to potentially get like an EV charger at like the town shop to have specifically for the transit shuttle. So we would probably apply for like charge ahead for that. So based on those 4 projects, I told you planning commission said 1, 2, 4, 3. Do you all have different opinions on that ordering? So that's ADU, then active transportation, then the electric transit shuttle, then electric equipment.
It's a sold on free.
Okay,
I just did a quick search. There still is funding available from the state to help businesses purchase those.
to help businesses, but not municipalities.
It's not, municipalities aren't eligible.
I know I looked into this before, yeah.
Okay. I would definitely remove snow plows.
Mm-hmm,
They're just not there yet.
mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think Illinois is gonna hold on to that, but maybe somebody else.
Yeah,
speak to that better.
I was thinking more like an ATV with a plow on it for like trails and sidewalks.
They do have an electric, they have electric ATVs.
Yeah.
They intend to plow them. I've looked into it.
Okay,
I also looked into putting a plow in my electric truck. It was farcical because, I thought I spent a fair bit of money. It was like $1,000 for this thing. And the idea is that it attaches to I have one of those, trailer hitch at the back of my truck. So it attaches to the trailer hitch and then you back up and you plow as you're backing up. And I got it and maybe it's just because I'm not the most handy guy in the world, but it was like 3 inches off the ground. So
See if you go.
It's like the 2x4 that my neighbor drives behind his tractor
look,
to plow his
I
driveway.
just have a regular old fashioned gas powered snow blower that works fine. And I would have bought an electric one, but I moved up here like right when sort of COVID was coming to an end and like you couldn't get anything electric. So I ended up buying this big old gas thing.
I just bought an HCV last year for just, I think it was about 42,000. That's good reference, but I don't know like plow edition.
Is it an electric one?
Yeah,
Polaris?
I think it was Polaris. Yeah. It was Park those kind of types of things, yeah,
Oh,
energy efficiency funding
I was
was.
gonna say like money bags for buying one ATV.
This is
Mhm.
not for me.
Good job.
The exact reason number 3 is outlining.
Gotcha.
I think, you know, if the town could get one, and, you know, I don't know how many, we don't really have any trails that I can think of, except for maybe that this unofficial trail that would really work with a snowplow, because most of our trails are dirt, right? And they don't do anything to them anyway. They just get icy and
Mm.
you slip until.
Yeah, I mean, it would need to talk to Nikki to see if that's even something she would need for parks,
Yeah.
but yeah. Okay.
But who plows?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that a lot of the sidewalks along the peak to peak section of town are done with ATV with a plow presently. Seen that out there. But yeah, agreed
Yeah.
agreed
Probably
that
gas.
trails less so.
Mhm.
I haven't seen the ATV. I've seen that little John Deere
Track.
front end loader.
And Cass, what are you thinking as far as funding, like going for the 500,000?
Well, I mean, as far as the different categories go, I was going to probably put policies for like put all 3 policies that we've talked about. And then for projects, that one was gonna be a bit trickier because I guess like in the constrained budget, I was thinking only 1 project to apply for, and then the standard budget putting 2, and then vision just doing like, we want to do all these things, you know? But
What about an electric preferred procurement policy? Instead of just going right for EVs, going for like equipment, electric equipment preferred.
yeah,
Because it could
'Cause
always
it's
cover
Including
like,
EVs. I would go even beyond their suggestion.
and it could go
Yeah.
into like facilities,
Yeah.
right? So like purchasing HVAC replacement equipment, would we consider?
Yep.
Oh,
electric
Electric
preferred.
boilers.
Right, and you could plug in like energy efficiency or even just like technology equipment.
Yeah,
Like lifespan as well, so like maybe even the circular economy piece to it as well, and would be a lot of work, but if you're going for funding to support the policy development,
Well,
Good idea.
it'd be a lot of work, but if we get the funding for it, then hopefully, you know, we
can
can
do that.
we can do the work. So yeah,
and then your equipment
Mhm.
would be covered under that.
right. Yes, yeah, it would definitely tie it in. Yeah. Yeah, and I was gonna talk to Anna about like the budgeting specifically, just to see like what she recommends, because I also like I don't know how much it would cost to pay a consultant to like make a plan for like a new bike path or whatever like we have in the multimodal plan.
I mean, I'm thinking one big project and maybe folks don't agree with this focus area, but it's been discussed a lot, is getting an actual walking / bike path officially out to the high school.
Mm.
Cause there's kind of a path through Old Town. You can drive on the dirt street, but
Mhm.
unless you know where you're going, there's nothing telling you this is the path you should take on your bike.
Right.
To avoid the highway turnoff and all that craziness. And then once it gets there, it is just on the side of the highway till you get to the
Mhm.
high school. And
and that
so,
last little climb is full of gravel. It can be a little challenging.
yeah, so
Yeah.
finishing that and making it a more established pathway could be, a project on that
For
corridor.
accessibility too.
Yeah.
It's the county, it's a county road.
Yeah.
Once you get out to the road, yeah, but like
Well-
through Old Town and stuff, it would be.
And approval would be easier because we're not dealing with CDOT. We're just dealing
Mm.
with,
Is there a path all the way up to the road that goes up Village Order?
Yeah.
Along, so we would, I mean,
Just a shoulder.
we'd have to deal with CDOT to put it up to that level, wouldn't
If we wanted, yeah, that would be
go that far, yeah.
that sounds really difficult,
I
but
mean, we would need to put that from town. What's the road? I can't remember.
Shelf Road?
Eldora.
Shelf.
Well, no, the.
It's Eldora
the high
Drive.
school.
128?
Yeah, so you need to go from the
That
highway,
might be the wrong.
county road, whatever, 128, all the way up there. I mean, it's a few miles of trail, right? So be expensive and we would certainly have to be able to do it. And
yeah.
The other, the sort of Shelf Road, that's like Avalon Chapel too.
oh, for the Shelf Road,
There's not room for a path there.
that would
Yeah.
be probably a.
That's what I was-
Yeah,
Right.
I was thinking just high school and those West Bag trails, you know,
A lot of sense with the high
yeah, and
Yeah.
everybody accesses West Bag trails from there.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm just saying, high school kids.
Yeah.
Because ride their
Yep.
bikes to school and then one of the months or whatever.
Okay.
And,
A lot of them currently walk
yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
be a
alongside
lot
of the
safer,
highway.
Be a lot safer.
Yeah.
So,
I like that.
So presently, the high school is separated from West Mag by private property, but I think that's also maybe a rabbit hole. I came off mute to ask about how we're doing on time and if we were on schedule, since that was
Yeah.
one of our
We're
new
doing really bad.
goals.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I think I've got the
I think we
information
got
I
our
need.
thoughts and we should probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's Jack? You know.
Exactly.
Hopefully with brand new babies. I don't know if
Hopefully,
they're out yet, but
I don't know.
hopefully
With what?
brand new babies.
his wife is having twins like today, maybe.
Oh,
Like, we don't know. Yeah.
Wow, awesome.
Well, that's an excused absence.
Yeah.
Twins.
Yeah.
The second thing on the agenda is partners in energy. Do we have anything to
Which,
discuss there?
no, because we're gonna meet on the 30th,
Okay, perfect.
which actually I might reach out to Rich Melody about filling in for Jack if he can't make it, which
Okay.
it's on the 30th of October at 11:30.
Next Thursday.
Okay, I'll reach out to Jack at some point, and if I don't hear back, I'll just assume he can't make it.
So the third thing is zero waste subcommittee. Do we have any?
We did not have a
There.
meeting.
Yeah, we didn't meet. We applied for the.
I should
Grant.
not be able to make the meeting.
You can't. Okay.
Well, shouldn't be able to.
Okay.
You might,
Well,
but don't
I
count.
hope,
You hope not. Okay.
I hope I'm supposed to be on a flight to Italy.
Oh.
But you know, government shutdown, who knows if flights get canceled?
Oh, yeah.
whatever, so,
Okay.
Well, good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And renewable energy subcommittee. I don't know if we have any updates there, Rob.
Oh, we have another person online. Sorry, I don't know when
Oh.
they joined.
No,
but
no updates on renewable energy subcommittee.
You know who?
it's a member of the public, Jasmine Cassidy.
Okay.
Yeah, hi. I'm just a CU Boulder grad student.
Oh, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to speak up.
Okay, sounds good.
Jasmine, are you in the Masters in the Environment program?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Great. Good to have
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
All right, so then sustainability coordinator update.
Yes. So I didn't get a chance to update this first item about the DC fast charger, but Britt was able to get the keys to the electrical unit that's connected to it and reboot it. So that's what we've been like waiting on, was trying to get those keys. And now we need to test it. So I think Rich is gonna help us. Mhm.
See if it works.
Yeah, hopefully it works. And if the thing is that we just need to reboot it every time like the power goes out, then, at least that's something we can control.
That's kind of a design, if that's the case.
Oh, for sure. Big flaw. Yeah,
Yeah, most of the power goes out.
yes. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that if it is the case. If there's gonna be other steps that we take to replace the charger if it's not working after this, because we've tried a lot of things and this is, yeah. coming down to it.
Once we get it online
Mhm,
and it's reliable,
mhm,
it won't be a huge disappointment to travel.
mhm.
We need to get it on all the mapping networks.
Yes, yeah, that'll be a priority for sure. And we want to have like kind of a ribbon cutting with Drive Clean Colorado.
And I would just recommend holding off on the mapping thing
Mm.
until we know it really works.
Right, like have like a consistent.
Well, it's like if you're driving along, you're counting on level 3 charger and you show up and it ain't working. Well, if you're in the city, you just drive to another,
Right.
right? But up here, you might be stuck for overnight on one of those level 2 chargers or something.
That is a
So-
new strategy then for increasing.
Eh. I just start putting level 3s up here everywhere.
Boulder Creek Hotel might like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just put it right next to the EV charger.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
No,
That's the joke. And then with the level 2 charger, we had more sessions in September than we had in August. The revenue was about almost $1,000 from the last 2 months, and then the average session is about an hour charging time, so it's actually going down slightly. It used to be like an hour and a half. Some of that might be influenced by the like car share that we had connected to the level 2 for a while, which is no longer connected. So yeah,
do we have 1 or 2 levels?
just one. Yep, but 2 ports.
Oh.
Yeah. So staff is working with our IT company SkyTide to get the new website up. This has been a whole thing. Basically, we don't have anyone on staff that really understands how like domains work. And so Britt and I have taken it on to like figure out how to get the domain management that we need for our new website. And it has taken us a while because it's not in our job description to do that. And so it's kind of like a side project that we're doing. And that's why it's taking so long. But hopefully it will be online. I want to say first week of November is my new estimate. I didn't update this, sorry. We did apply. Oh, no, sorry. I was reading this wrong. Boulder County Sustainability Matching Grant, not the Circular Economy Grant. We are drafting an application for the matching grant for partially funding my position. Same thing that we've been applying for. Louisville and us are the only 2 that can qualify for staff funding because that's what we used it for this year. But then after 2026, we can no longer apply for funding from staff. So the town really needs to figure out how they're going to fund this position without a grant. And then in the future, the Boulder County wants us to use the funding for policy. And that's
Not projects.
No staff.
not staff. Yeah, they want to fund policy. And they have like different examples of that. To be honest, I haven't looked into it too much just because it's not relevant for us this year, but yeah, and I think after this first year and how much funding they give out and what people are applying for, that might influence next year what they like allow the usage for, because I know there's been a lot of contention around the policies that they want towns to pursue with this funding, and some towns or cities are not applying for that reason. So I think after this cycle, we might see some things change with that grant as well.
Okay.
Mhm.
Quick question about funding policy. Can funding policy look like having a subcontractor who maybe used to be an employee for a position work on policy for 12 months of the year?
That's a good question, because they did say in their policy section, because they have different like, you can apply for like a high impact project grant, you can apply for policy, or you can apply for I forget what the third one was. But like those two were like the main ones this year. And they're only funding 2 projects. So 2 high impact projects and the rest needed to be policy. And they did say under the policy section that you can pay staff to work on policy specifically. So I think that's how you like get around it. And I think, yeah, you could probably hire a subcontractor who has experience with that to like work on just policy. But also like we only get $15,000 from this grant. Other cities get a lot more because they have a bigger population. So like $15,000 isn't that much to pay a subcontractor here, but it like would supplement something.
Just a reminder, like, and when we first wrote this grant for staff support in 2020,
Mhm.
they told us, yes, and it'll only be for 3 years.
Mhm.
So this is already beyond that.
They're
Quite a
giving
bit.
us 6 years, essentially double, they said.
Yeah, so that's
But then the catch on that was that it was, I think as a contractor, it was different than
Yeah.
in-house. And I think the position's only been in-house for 2 years, right? 3?
no, I would say a year and a half.
Year and a half.
It's like July, I think, and that's kind of when Leia was on maternity leave.
Got it.
Yeah.
So depending on how they frame that or what's helpful.
Yeah, that's true. So we are gonna start bi-weekly meetings with Partners in Energy on October 30th. They did release our 2024 Community Energy Report, so the link is there. And I've added that to our spreadsheet. However, they did not include the largest, I'm not gonna say the name because it's confidential information. But I do know it. That basically they take out the largest energy user from the data. Because I'm not gonna pretend to like explain and say why I know that they do that, but they do that. And we have to get like a waiver from them in order to include their energy data in our like community energy report. And so we need to get that waiver because the business is under new ownership. So that has not happened yet. And that's
Okay.
why it's like the energy data is slightly off right now.
So they don't include it at all, or they just don't
They just don't include it.
isolate it?
They like take it out of the total energy consumption.
Excluded from Data.
Yeah, it's excluded. Something about like confidentiality or
I
something.
don't know, but this was like the number one reason we said, yes, let's keep working with Pi as long as we can get Pi because they can help us with this waiver to get the data.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just thought that they would have to include it and then they just wouldn't be able to isolate it, so that was obvious. Right.
Yeah, I don't know. They just don't include it. The other thing is that if the
Changed that years ago.
if the purchase of Eldora goes through, we will need to decide if we want to include Eldora in our energy data. Which is kind of like until we know that that's actually gone through, we don't need to make that decision yet. But my inclination is to include it if we own it because it's technically municipal facilities once the town owns it.
Yeah.
So it's included in our energy.
That makes sense to me.
But that would surely be part of this energy.
It would,
Part of the year.
yes, and then the waiver we would get would be from ourselves. So,
But then Eldora has I think we talked about that last meeting, but Hunter was able to get a pretty big portion of their energy covered through a community solar subscription.
yes.
I think she might also have had 5 Jack solar too.
Okay, and they have solar on their buildings, on a lot of their buildings.
That's
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right, the new building.
Hmm.
That's quite a bit.
Caribou.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, so that's just something that it'll come up again once we know more information there. The LED sign that was originally purchased through with the Boulder County Circular Economy Grant was finally installed on the new reuse barn at the transfer station. So the LED sign is controlled by Boulder County because it's the Boulder County transfer station, but I've met with Mikkel from Boulder County, who's basically they're like controlling the sign, the messages and input and everything. And so we've met to talk about like guidelines for the display of the LED sign and like what can and can't be displayed. And essentially the only like kind of tricky part is if there's any like private businesses involved in the like advertisement, you know. So like as long as things are like free events or nonprofits doing things, or the town is doing things, then like that's all fine. But like I guess it's happened in the past where like private businesses in town have asked to advertise at the transfer station. So like we might get those inquiries. But basically it's gonna be a no for those things.
No, and I think the idea was mostly education.
Yeah, exactly. So
So when talking about the zero waste group at the time with that grant, and I could go back and try to see the application, but the initial was that the zero waste group would have a lot of say over what could go on that sign. And then also staff at the transfer station. So like when things were pretty frequently being deposited in the bin and it wasn't appropriate, that they would be able to like put a photo up and or put a note up and share that.
Yeah.
So
I think staff will have a lot of say, the transfer station staff. And Mikkel is working directly with them to make sure that like the sign is displaying images and messages correctly, because Mikkel is not like, they're not in Netherlands, right? They're not up here, so they have to like check with
Kind of up there now that I saw this week.
probably. Oh,
I thought it was gonna be like 10 times.
gotcha.
And the resolution is about,
Okay.
I don't even know you can really put up a picture and that resolution. And I'd have to experiment, but.
Yeah, we can experiment a bit.
It really seems just large enough for what they're using it for now. Just like opening hours and stuff like that, I think. Right?
Yeah, I think it'll be pretty simple messages on there.
It's a big disappointment.
Gotcha.
so much research on like the cost and for size of signs. And then we initially weren't gonna have that building. It's gonna have to be mounted.
Mhm.
And I think for whatever reason, does anyone remember why we just stayed below 15,000? Because the grants changed every year, last few years. So. I hear you, they get expensive.
I think smaller already.
Really?
No.
Not smaller than that, really. Well, I've only been up there once, but
Or at least that size. I mean,
yeah, maybe it's that size. Maybe just a little bit bigger.
I mean, I didn't go out there with a ruler. And I didn't spend a lot of time staring at it. It was just sort of there.
And I thought the picture quality was pretty good, although, yeah, I didn't look at it for more than.
Well, yeah, we'll definitely have to experiment with like pictures and such on it. But yeah, zero waste subcommittee will be engaged from what I hear, but I think Mikkel wants to come up with guidelines first before like zero waste subcommittee starts submitting things. So yeah.
You know, totally random, but that reminds me of the Backyard Theater and the movie reels for movies. Is there anything about sustainability up right now? For that?
Last time I went, I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
It's like- I mean, they sell advertising spots there.
Oh, they do. They do.
I think so. But we can talk about even just like getting something up about like recycling and I know that they're still not accepting compost here, and that's going to be a whole conversation that I have yet to dive into. So anyway, last update is just about water quality after the Caribou Village fire. So this one I added on a little bit late, but the firefighting foam that was used was Class A foam. So what I heard is that it did not contain PFAS or PFOAs. And they also did testing for volatile organic compounds in Middle Boulder Creek and Barker Reservoir. The city of Boulder did the testing on Thursday, so same day that the fire occurred, and the results were in the normal range, and the VOCs were what they called non-detect, which was good. And the town of Netherland did samples of 3 total coliform samples on their water intake, and they all came back absent for coliform. And so I think those were the main things that they were testing for. And then I had not seen the results of the testing for the PFAS or PFOAs, but it was likely going to be very low or non-detect as well, just because the firefighting foam didn't include it.
Did you say they tested the water coming into the wastewater treatment plant, or they tested our water intake up by the high school?
Because
that one's clearly.
I don't think they would have tested the one by the high school because that's not downstream of the shopping center.
Yeah, that's just where we get like our drinking water supply. And so I wasn't sure if because that would be fruitless to test in the aftermath of the fire.
Mm-hmm.
City of Boulder tested Middle Boulder Creek and Barker.
Yes. And I was on an email chain with all of this information. So let me see. I think I included everything that I saw on the email chain, but I could ask for clarification on that.
Just visually, as I walk by the culvert at BNF every day, there's still a ton of charge material just sitting there in that culvert.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone wants to put some gloves on one day, do a little cleanup, it's there.
What is is there a conversation around like water reserves for the town? Cause that was just one, I mean, it was
Yeah.
a big structure, but it was just one.
There's a large conversation and we've been in and out of Waterport and I'm not sure what is publicly available information that people are allowed to know, but the town is doing what they need to do to secure water rights and is working on where could we store water, because we do need to eventually to at least keep our water rights. That's my understanding.
But as
We have to have storage in order to maintain our water rights.
Well, historical. You can actually have a water right for storage,
Uh-huh.
and if you don't store it, you lose.
You lose it.
Colorado water rights are use it or lose it water rights,
Mhm.
so.
And we are allocated a percentage of Barker Reservoir from the city of Boulder,
Mhm.
and we have been for a long time. And every few years we have to go back to water court to say that we're like moving forward on making a permanent solution.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I just like with the Caribou Plaza and how that affected water infrastructure in the town. That could have been a lot bigger water demand, you know, depending on when it happened.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew said that he had to take 52 services, so like taps basically offline. I want to say in like the Big Springs area. He has more information. I can ask him for like more detailed report on that, but like yeah, he had to take some off and shut down certain tanks to like make sure that like they wouldn't run out of water for like even more homes and all of that. So it was definitely just with this one fire, like trying to manage a lot of the water tanks, and like things were getting really low. Like we had to issue that like social media post to being like, basically stop using water.
Yeah.
Because it was getting bad.
But so privately, the BOT has discussed what those options look like and how we procure those options and how we manage that in those scenarios.
So they're talking about the fire that just happened and how they plan to manage that.
I don't know if this fire has specifically come up in the last 2 weeks, but I know at least a year ago, they were specifically talking about a yes for fires and fighting fires inside of town.
Yeah.
Now it's just a realized.
Right. But yeah, that's everything I had for the staff updates. And if there's anything that you all want to, ask me to include in like staff updates, like please feel free to email me. And I'm happy to do any kind of update that you're thinking of, like whether it's like talking to different town staff like Andrew or Josh about different statistics or things that they maybe data they collect. So yeah, just let me know.
Thanks, Cass. Any other questions for that? Or sustainability coordinator stuff in general?
Super random, but I have a neighbor off Magnolia who has a solar thermal system. So he has,
Yeah.
I would say 12,000 gallons. I think.
That's big.
That is behind his shed.
That's
in-
heated?
It's heated, he has a solar array. And then it heats this tank that's in the ground below his shed, or like above the shed in the hillside. And in order to do that, he had to designate his water tank with an official fire hose bib,
Mm-hmm,
and then had to register it with the fire department.
mm-hmm,
So that's how he could store that much water.
So they can use it in an emergency.
They
mm-hmm.
can use it in an emergency.
Hmm.
And so I'm just sharing that because I'm like thinking like, how could we more systematically store water with multi-purpose?
It's definitely wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure it took them, a while to fill it up, but it's a closed system, right?
10,000 gallons, that's a lot, as I understand it, that's, like a tanker truck.
And it would make sense, it's underground, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's an underground reservoir to heat his home. His home is net zero. It's actually right above my house, on the ridge on the south side of Boulder Canyon. So he can see the divide, he gets blasted by the wind, and his home is, a lot of things are automated, like he's got curtains that go down when the temperature differential is great enough from the outside to the inside of the window. Cover the windows and keep that heat in. And then he's got heat pumps, and he's got the solar thermal system, and he's got an additional solar to kind of support and supplement his solar thermal system when it can't keep up in the 3 months of
Mhm.
winter when it's really cold. We don't really have daylight. It's a cool house. It'd actually be a really cool tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
yeah, just good for thought. Like, how do we build more reservoirs, more resilience? As far as that water infrastructure
Mm-hmm.
in a way that also benefits residents. So it's not just like a cost to the town, but maybe a way to kind of support residents with their own resilience as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, and I think if we're talking about infill and ADUs and more development in town, we're talking about increased fire risk, increased spreading ability of fires, and makes all that, the more necessary.
Yeah.
That's true.
Luckily, those are built to code if we're on 2024.
Mhm.
At the low energy carbon code, that's at least gonna be more fire zone
Yeah.
exteriors.
Yeah, resistant, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, the last thing on our agenda is goals. So, I had sent out a spreadsheet a couple of times for folks to fill in. I did not receive any submissions back except for Erica. So, how do we want to proceed from here?
So just throwing it out there, like I wonder if we can set it in top 3 priorities I mean, what I shared with you was like top 3 priorities and then like 3 peripheral priorities.
Mm-hmm.
And I focused my top 3 as like greenhouse gas reducing, kind of the most impactful projects. And like, for example, waste diversion is super important culturally, but it doesn't have necessarily the biggest footprint in Netherlands.
Yeah.
And so maybe bumping that to like a peripheral goal. But I'd be curious to hear what others think about that in comparison to the goals we have now.
I think number one, develop path to updated energy goal community wide. That's like what we're already trying to do, right? That we're talking about updating the 2025, setting the 24/7 carbon energy. That's what you mean by that, right?
Mhm.
Prioritize decarbonization of Netherlands built environment, support resilience action plan development. I can tell you my list that I put together has a lot of things on it. And there's several things that are easier, several things that are harder. But one of the big ones for me is pulled out in the comprehensive plan, and I think is another kind of easy box to check, which is establish a riparian of wetland protection ordinance. I have a couple questions for the Andrew. In the original 2014 plan, there was a goal to have data feeds from all plants and monitoring sites centrally located and available for reference, identified and converted adjacent failing septic systems to city wastewater, and have a leakage rate below standards for drinking water and wastewater complete by 2020. And I'm wondering how far along we are on that goal.
Okay.
If that's something we can ask him.
Yeah, I can ask him.
If that's still issues, do we have leakage issues in our town water facilities? That would seem to be a priority goal, if so, to
Mhm.
me.
What is the goal framing again? Like, are we looking for like 2026 and then 26 to 2029?
We didn't establish that yet.
Okay. Because I think, I was kind of thinking like next year, here's what I think is
Mhm.
realistic, actionable.
Yeah.
And a lot of the goals under in the folder, the current goals still have a lot of work left to do too.
Yeah.
I'll also say that I think the BOT would probably like to see goals that align with like the comprehensive plan and just like specific strategies or objectives outlined in the comprehensive plan as well.
Comprehensive plan have timelines?
Not like,
Not for everything. For
Yeah.
some things it does.
yes, yeah,
Does the comprehensive plan have greenhouse gas reduction goals?
I don't think so.
So that's gonna be a challenge right there with aligning with the purchases.
Mhm.
It's like, this is a very specific space.
It does say supporting renewable energy. And I think energy efficiency might be mentioned in there too. So I don't know that it specifically calls out greenhouse gases, but there are some things that are mentioned. I mean, here's,
That's like, not talking about the elephant.
no, but I put in that folder, that goals folder, the SAB stuff that's in the comp plan.
So
Can we talk about climate change?
they talk about, I'm doing the control F. Yes, it's mentioned 11 times.
Okay, good. So everything that we would ever set goals to, we could refer back to climate change, right?
I would say so. I also did control F for greenhouse gases. It's in one of the objectives, which is in the objective to promote the transition to renewable energy sources and electric fleets for the town.
Yeah.
So they do mention greenhouse gas emissions. They say promote energy efficient upgrades and renewable energy installations, aiming for long-term reductions in greenhouse gas emissions and dependence on fossil fuels. And that is in the utilities and water resources section. So.
Yep. I think another thing that we've talked about for a long time, and I'm not quite sure why the project never got off the ground and running other than timing, but we're doing wayfinding now.
Yeah.
Interpretive signage for just all around town. I mean, getting people to connect with the nature in this town and recognize that whatever you pour out on the sidewalk goes into the street drain and goes into the river, just like rain, and that
Yeah.
we've got critical areas that could be protected. And when you add signage and you're educating people all throughout town as they're walking around town, that's part of helping with that, educating tourists, with keeping that awareness in people's minds, just that are residents. It also works to serve as like, what are the areas we want to protect, right? We can start to identify some of those. We're not moving enough. So I think there's some easy things that we could get done in the next year if we have the support from the BOT to move on those things.
I will say the wayfinding signs are all funded through the DDA, which is different budget than, but like we could always talk to the DDA about like if they would be in favor of doing interpretive signage downtown at least.
And I don't know if we have any at the wetlands yet. I believe that was supposed to be part of the project.
We did have a meeting about it, and so I believe it is in the works.
We have the parking lot.
Oh, and did you guys see the new trash recycling bin that's on First Street?
No.
It's
No.
across from Busey Brews. No,
No.
it's just a normal one. But it is trash and recycling, and it's across from Busey Brews, like where Kaleidoscope food truck used to be.
Oh,
That's
No,
an
I've noticed it.
interesting place.
That's where I could negotiate it.
It's a town bin or something.
It's a town bin, yeah.
Thanks,
And
Rowan.
empty.
Hmm?
Who's empty?
Town, park staff.
And do we know if a lot of sorting that needs to be done, or people are actually complying with the?
Probably as much as with the other bins, because the other bins also have recycling too, so I honestly am interested in doing some kind of like waste audit, recycling audit on those bins just to see.
That'd be an interesting topic, maybe for a student environment study to see you.
Sort through our trash.
is she still in the line?
I think she is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could get the like Green Stampede
Mhm.
that does the football games.
I've heard of them, yeah. That'd be
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, that's what we need.
Mhm.
At the football game, you just leave it under your seat.
Most people do, yeah.
Did you our current?
That's a good question.
I would make the argument that yes, all of them do, because that was not the existing comp plan when we set those goals. The comp plan when we set those goals was the Envision 2030 and Envision 2020 and
Mhm.
I was just thinking how I miss it, because there used to be a really cool sign up above that doorway right there
Mhm.
that like referenced it.
And then it got to be 2021 and we were all virtual and we had not completed very much of that Envision 2020 plan, and I think got taken down. What a year.
It was
But something that was called out in the original sustainability action plan from 2014 is to require net zero buildings by 2030. So just saying, we were talking about that 16 years ago.
It's actually super appropriate because that's where the codes are headed.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Hmm.
I don't see local ag in here. Under the comp plan.
No, there really isn't a lot. There is support of cottage foods. And there is some discussion around opening up certain home-based business availabilities. So I think how that relates to STAB is that we look at, can somebody do a commercial bee operation in their backyard or in their 5 neighbors' backyards and them all as a co-op or not? I mean, when we talk about ag, I think that's what we're really talking about, like, how do we make that feasible up here?
Well,
They
there's-
do chickens up here?
Yeah, we have a chicken allowance. Yeah,
We do. Okay.
there's a policy for it.
I'm just thinking about the greenhouse, like that wasn't that long ago and that was a huge priority from this board.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing a disconnect,
Mhm.
for, at least with that, as far
That
as.
was in Envision 2020 and Envision 2030.
Okay, well, that's a gap.
Yeah, and I will say, like, in the comp plans, they have an engagement summary, and it says in the first paragraph that community members want to see more of pharmacies, local food provisions, and childcare. So they prioritize food. And I agree, I didn't really see anything other than like the food pantry and such listed as that. So
Yeah, I guess when I took that survey, I was thinking it to mean like options to buy food.
which might have been
But-
people's like
Yeah.
idea, but like if we can get local food grown up here to also purchase up here, like,
That comes full circle with the
Mhm.
MS composter.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
For purchase some, like a commercial farm up here.
Well, so what one idea that
It'd be
uh,
hydroponic and
We-
multiple.
What,
Well-
Not necessarily. So
Yeah.
there's different options, there's different ways to achieve it, but like what Kip, who works at the farmer's market now, what he used to do in Boulder was you work out of people's yards and people say, I'm not using this, quarter of my front yard. You can grow on it. And then you've got people that run these gardens and then you've got food that you can produce and give away and you can
Mhm.
have a farm that operates throughout the whole neighborhood. Logistically, yeah, it's harder, but
Mhm.
well,
we don't have one big, huge piece of land to put a farm.
we have a lot higher.
Yeah.
We have a lot shorter growing
Growing
season.
season,
yeah.
And our water is a lot more expensive
Mhm.
than municipal water in Boulder.
I
We
guess so.
get a lot more water than Boulder, too, from the sky.
Yeah.
Throughout the.
The winter, sure, and this summer was really wet,
Yeah.
but it was unusually wet, I think, and you could grow crops up here with irrigation.
Oh, for sure. And stuff.
Oh, you can put kale anywhere. We could grow all kale.
Everyone needs
Okay.
For the 3 times a year I buy kale, right, that, but
Yeah.
I,
And quinoa. Lester had success with quinoa. It's just the elk like to eat it.
quinoa I would believe, but, I just see us growing substantial, I mean, you can grow a little bit of food, but substantial percentage of the food we consume. Yeah, I would be shocked if we could get anywhere near 0.5% grown within 10 miles of the town. And like.
No, and that's what I said beekeeping, because I'm like, what are the other agricultural, what are the other like value added things that we can support that we can at least try to source as locally as possible? Yeah.
Those bees, every summer when they discover my hummingbird feeders.
Mhm.
I don't have hummingbird
It
feeders.
is a war with the hummingbird feeders,
Mm.
the bees.
Terrifying.
It is, and the hummingbirds, they're scared of bees, so, anyway, I don't think we should encourage beekeeping. If we like,
It was called out in Vision 2020. That's the only reason I bring it up.
They have some active hives right at the ski area. I'm surprised to see that.
They do?
Yeah,
Wow, who doesn't?
I'm not sure. But there's an electric fence around them to keep the bears out. And there's like 6 or 7 hives, and I saw a lot of bees yesterday. It's active. I mean, mostly only dandelions are around for them now, but
Yeah, well, we need more native plants that they can pollinate, but
That was gonna be my next one,
Yeah.
is something I would also like to see that we've talked about a long time that's been kind of hard to get in practice, and I don't quite understand why it's so hard, is planting more native pollinators, more native medicinals, more native edibles, anywhere that town owns a blank piece of land. And I think it's just the manpower to upkeep
Mhm.
these things.
and we can talk with ProSab about that goal as well.
but they could certainly put a lot of seeds in Moose Meadows.
Mhm.
But I don't know, I mean, there are places in Moose Meadows where a lot of flowers grow, but it's. Moose Meadows is that open space to the south of Indian Peaks and to the east of School Road.
Mhm.
Okay,
The ProSab renamed it from Indian Peaks Open Space to Moose Meadows.
It's one of the pocket parks, we call it.
It's a
right?
pretty big park. I don't know if it's a pocket park. I mean, it's pretty substantial. It's by far the biggest park we got in town.
Besides
I think it's gotta be at least 40 acres.
I bet you the library would be open to like a small test plot for edibles, for wild edibles, Remember the plants you were talking about?
Mhm.
I mean, it'd be along the reading garden, but
Mhm.
a raised bed test plot along the reading garden,
Mhm.
That could be cool.
it would be more visible.
Yeah, I mean, but there's a lot of space in Moose Meadows.
Yeah, and I'm more thinking of like, not necessarily creating a new installation and putting it somewhere, just as like along the edge of Gercio Field and the fence there. Where right now we just have grass, like, let's
Mhm.
have some native medicinals and some native pollinators in a big garden bed there, you know?
envisioning, like, there'll be even more moose in that area.
Mhm.
That's another way to bring in tax base, tax revenue.
And I think
Moose?
I think
Everyone
that's
thinks Colorado.
part of increasing walkability in town too, is you have these beautiful pathways that have these nice views. They have this interpretive signage,
I think that, yeah, I
this
think,
whole package.
I think that narrow field is just, right, the way we use it right now is a waste of space. But I think putting in native garden, interpretive signs, and examples of what the plants are and everything
Mhm.
would be much better use of that. So
It'd be really cool.
Oh, God.
what?
I agree.
That's where we started, ain't it? All right,
Melly's gonna start to twitch.
moving on. I mean, the EV plan we talked about with this, accelerator grant, but it's also called out in the comp plan. So
Mhm.
that's one, is really finalizing that EV policy for town, or electric equipment, should we
Mhm.
say, if we broaden it.
And I think John Walbert's gonna put in some chargers.
They are, yep. Mhm. And we want to work with Tebow too, since,
Oh, that's a great opportunity.
Yes.
yeah, definitely.
So where do we want to go from here? I mean, we have some good ideas, I think. Without having everybody's individual input, though, I can't necessarily compile things. I need things like in writing in front of me to get it all together. So,
I wonder if it's worth just going through what we have now, what's been accomplished, what's been started, what's not been started. And then taking off what's been done, right?
Maybe we could ask Cass to do that for our next meeting in a summary format.
do you- not everything of mine says that, but some of mine
I'll just
have
say,
those notes.
we're sort of beyond time now.
Mhm.
So
Yep. That's what I'm trying to figure out. how
So,
to wrap this up.
take the goals that you have listed here,
Compare that to the previous
Good.
existing ones.
previous
The goals
ones.
we have listed where?
In the spreadsheet.
I'm in this draft document you're in.
Yeah.
Here.
One tab's me, one tab's Erica, and that's all I have.
Oh, it's tabbed.
The
Okay.
one I sent you
Yeah.
should be blank for you to fill in yourself.
Oh, okay.
But then the spreadsheet that's in the drive folder,
Okay.
yes, has different
Okay.
tabs.
And you, yeah. Yeah, I can do that. I guess it would be helpful, like what do you want to see at the next meeting in order to like decide on, like, is the timeline the next meeting you want to decide on like what goals are your priorities, or you just want to have the discussion around like more specifics of like what's already been done, what is also in the comp plan, those kinds of things.
I can help with what's in the comp plan. I can help you go over like our 2023 to 2025 goals
Mm-hmm.
and say like what we completed and what we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Logical updates, right? Like things that we already are talking about that are gonna be still going on in 2026,
Mm-hmm.
which would be, the new energy.
Develop a
Oh.
24/7 carbon-free energy plan.
Yeah. Continue work with partners in energy.
Wayfinding,
Yeah. With any support.
Continuing to increase EV chargers. I think our plan says 3 by 2030, so we just need one more.
We really have to,
This one.
well, if you count the 2 ports on one.
I think we need a whole nother unit.
location, yeah.
Either
Well-
here or the Tebow Shopping
Yeah.
Center
Yeah.
or the town shop.
The Tebow Shopping Center should be low hanging fruit.
Well, so if
Right.
they built into 2018, I think 2018 requires a EV charger.
I know that there were requirements for like EV ready parking
Depends
spaces.
on when we pass the code and when he pulls the permit. Right?
But if it's 2018, the one that we're currently on, I will look into what
Not
the,
that easily been able to put in a bunch of.
there's also grant funding that he could apply for.
Right.
So
I
I'll-
also,
Well, the town could say, look, this thing's gonna take 6 months to approve or whatever. We'll approve it really quick if you put in some chargers or something like that.
They've already told him they're gonna approve it really quick, no
Yeah,
matter
even
what.
quicker. Make it worth his while.
I was there.
Problem is like the grants that are built, like the charge ahead grant, they just pay for the equipment. And it's 80 to 90% of the equipment cost.
Yeah.
I found installation to be 2 to 3 times the cost
Well,
of equipment.
He's not gonna wanna put in probably level 3, right? He's gonna wanna put in some level 2.
That's level 2.
Yeah,
They're just,
yeah. Yeah, but level 3, the electrical, the electrical infrastructure for level 3 is astronomically more than.
totally, but so like a level 3 charger is gonna be $35,000 to $40,000 for the meter, and then you're probably gonna pay twice that.
I don't know, man. I think I'm full.
Is he talking to his
those
state?
grab, maybe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do we want to really have you put together your own goals list and really send them to me before next meeting? Or do we just want to go off of the one that I started in here?
I think you have a lot in here, so that's
What
helpful.
if everybody wrote down their top 3, right?
What if everyone looked at what her goals were and yeah, decided what the top 3 were from there?
Okay,
Does that seem like easier?
let's see if he's here.
Okay.
Or we could just put them up.
We can spit him out right now.
There's a lot in here.
Yeah.
Like, what do you guys think the top 3 should be?
Wish we had a whiteboard.
Well, for me, it's gonna be EV chargers.
The EV infrastructure? You also.
I don't know that I need to go infrastructure. I don't know chargers. I don't know what other infrastructure there is. Other than charging. I would like to see EV chargers at shopping center.
Here,
Town
I-
electric policy.
Yeah, that'd be
Couple,
mine.
You know, one here, the thing with here though, is the only people that are really gonna use it, people using the gym.
and let's
Okay,
make it an easy
So
shuttle.
EV chargers in town. What else would you say you also want?
I'm real big on riparian and wetland protection ordinance.
Okay.
Cause in the comp plan, let's make sure this DOT
We
passes
don't-
it
we
while
don't
they
have one.
say yes.
We don't have one? Yeah, that's not worthwhile. And something achievable.
Okay.
Okay, so you shared one.
Well, I'm agreeing with this.
Make it up to
Okay,
two.
Yeah.
so that's your second.
Um, Well, I would say a solar garden program, but we all know that that's not feasible.
That if
Do we know
that's the
that?
goal,
Yeah, well, we've tried it.
like a garden
We know
in
there is one
Netherlands.
place that could be feasible that is not currently a part of the town of Netherlands.
Well, I'm talking.
Well,
about
okay.
Ridge.
The,
Barker
it's like a
Reservoir.
large scale thing where you sign up.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Right.
and like, you know, the problem is, it is extremely user unfriendly.
Mhm.
And I mean,
So yes or no to that goal?
I mean, I just think, based on the previous experience we had with it, one, you have to do the double sign up and the credit cards and the thing.
Mhm.
And then, nobody was interested. Well, or some people were interested, but like, you know, we went through a pretty big effort to get people to sign up for this and everyone, I don't know, maybe thought it was kind of a scam or something and felt that way a little bit.
I was thinking-
except for I'm paying $35 on my electric bill in the winter now. I'm paying like $8 in the summer.
You got sold.
So-
I've got the community solar garden subscription,
Which one?
But I thought you
the one through the
Hey,
county.
you put solar on your house.
Oh, the energy outreach program.
So
I know
I'm
my
gonna-
roof is a weird shape, so I can't do more than like 4 panels.
I'm gonna list the goals, just say them so that people without computers can know what they are, and then we can maybe go through like what top 2 or 3 is each person. So establish riparian and wetland protection ordinance, develop a 24/7 carbon-free energy plan, community portal, which,
This is an old thing. This is
Okay.
something we used to do that we got rid of at some point. But basically a town hosted platform, whatever that looks like, where people can see where we are at on our goals, whether they be sustainability goals or
yeah.
other goals, but like a progress tracking of how,
I would say that's
where we at.
exactly like what Engage is supposed to be, but we don't use it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's fair. I agree. So community portal, town water facilities,
That
some
was just, yeah.
advanced
mention.
like updates, kinds of resilience, town composting, support home-based businesses and cottage food producers, enhance transportation options, so talking about pedestrian safety, biker safety, town shuttles, EV chargers, town EV fleet, net zero buildings by 2030, annual sustainability event, interpretive signage for ecosystem education, water conservation, energy efficiency, just kind of general categories. And then let's,
And then other things I pulled out of other documents that are
Right.
a little more random, but we have done before as goals.
do people want me to list those as well? Keep going? Okay. So, Netherland Community Greenhouse, educational, informational gardening workshops, events and presentations, planting native gardens like we talked about, promoting solar rewards and other Excel renewable options, continue working relationships with Excel, Pi, SEI, and CC4CA,
STR.
SEI.
Solar Energy International.
Okay. And probably be like, we work with Sun now, which I don't know what they stand for, but
Solar United Neighbors.
yes, Solar United Neighbors, thank you. Oh. Cool. Promote and distribute funds for residents to purchase rooftop solar, disseminate information on business just sorry, disseminate information to businesses on zero waste practices, utilizing community partners, monitor total waste diversion, conduct environmental assessments of town properties. Some areas have been completed. And then develop sustainability analysis of town properties, including solar renewable sites, garden sites, water collection sites, conservation demonstration sites. So do any of those resonate? I can go back and say some again if,
I feel like they should all stay.
yeah.
I can make an argument for every single one.
We can have
Why they're on my list.
a really long goals list.
That's why I feel like we should have ongoing kind of peripheral goals and then like a few kind of guiding light strategic goals.
And we typically have like 3 to 5 main goals and then, that second page of like,
Okay.
and these are the ongoing things that we're continuing to support, like zero waste at farmers market. And
So I guess, are there any that people want to make a case for making a main goal out of that list?
I mean, I think we know 24/7 carbon-free energy plan is definitely a main one. We've established that.
Mm-hmm.
I would put EV chargers and EV fleet kind of together as a goal.
So then my question is like, as far as staff versus board,
Mm-hmm.
how do we support with that? What do you see as realistic and helpful?
With the EV specifically?
Yeah, that's my question.
Yeah.
Because I have, oh yeah, staff will work on that and then we support her as needed. So
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I can think of is like, since town can only like purchase so many EV chargers, like we want, Tebow to put in EV chargers. We want other businesses, Wild Bear to put in EV chargers. So like basically assisting them with the grant applications, I think. And honestly, just like advising them, because a lot of the time the questions I get are like, I don't even know what EV charger like to buy. Like, I don't even know where to start with that. So I would say that's a big one.
yeah, just that free technical assistance of helping them write the grant and submit the application.
Yeah.
Which we could totally do.
Yeah.
And like,
Could sit down and knock it out.
and Tim and I, like, we've talked a lot about this because we were trying to figure out doing it at the library, and then we were trying to figure out doing it at the church next door. And like, there's a lot to it. And so
The church was awarded a charge of head.
the Calvary Chapel Church. Oh, really? That's cool. Did they ever?
I don't think so. That was Mark Stringfellow.
Huh.
You probably realized like the cost to install it was so much greater.
Yeah. Yeah.
Their parking lot is on the 3rd Street side. I wonder if it has to do with access to the line,
No, we were
the
gonna.
electric line, because there's a creek that runs underneath. On the
Peak
ground.
to peak, like, because it was gonna be it has to be an ADA stall, there has to be at least one ADA.
Oh,
stall.
so at their entrance then.
Yeah.
Mm.
There, by the
Oh.
stop sign was what we were looking at initially,
Huh.
but again,
Interesting.
like, that grant is not a third maybe of the cost,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we could help with like engagement, answering questions, maybe even like outreach and talking to business owners.
That would be
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I think that's a fair goal to have in here.
That's 2, we got 1, 2.
And then I know you said riparian wetland ordinance. Would we say that's a main goal? Seem like yes, maybe.
2 people.
That's why I'm saying yeah. That's
I mean, I think I'm enthusiastic about it and I'm happy to do it. I just don't know if I consider it like, it's not necessarily where we're gonna spend 75% of our energy next year. Like ideally, it's something we can write, we can present to boards, we can get feedback on, and we can get it passed. And it's not necessarily a lot of our time. So for my mind, I wasn't putting it in that bigger
Guiding light, yeah.
bucket.
Okay, so it's more of like, it's a goal, but not one of those like bigger overarching goal. Okay.
Well, and I think, developing a 24/7 carbon-free energy plan, that's gonna be a multi-year process.
Right.
Establishing a wetland protection ordinance, that could take a year.
Right.
So,
Okay.
I want to see a beneficial implementation plan. And I want to see it with partners in the meeting. But that's just one idea, just throwing it out there.
Putting it down. And then, yeah, Erica's goals, because that was just listing the ones Melody had put down. But your tab has develop path to updated energy goal, community-wide, prioritize the decarbonization of Netherlands built environment, buildings and transportation, support resilience action plan development, and in 2027 sustainability action plan development and implementation plan. And then peripheral goals include education and outreach, zero waste, support local food systems, nature-based solutions, wildfire ecological resilience, etc. in parentheses.
I mean, what if our third goal, because this would fit the wetland ordinance, but also some other things, the third goal is really in line with this accelerator grant thinking of like setting aggressive policies that support our resiliency and sustainability goals or something.
Yeah.
So one of those is doing the wetland ordinance, one of them is setting that, EV policy, one of them is looking at, okay, at what size of building should we require net zero, or
Mhm.
all those kind of things of like really focusing on narrowing down town policy and making our policy clear and match these plans and goals that we have.
Mhm.
I like that, but I also wonder if that should be like just ongoing,
Just an on,
right? Like that's just a focus of this board and here's the topics that are of interest.
This is how we're going to achieve the goals.
I'm also wondering if like nature-based solutions should be like a big priority too.
What's that?
Nature-based solutions,
Oh,
so
right.
with the riparian stuff with land under
Yeah.
that. Your land use policy.
Okay. I mean, I think that's good, like, for now, for what we have. This is good brainstorming, and we can revisit it next time, but I'm happy to like take what we've talked about and um come up with something. Um,
Yeah, I think I'd really like to understand from planning commission how they are thinking about this whole idea of what businesses could be allowed at home and what that looks like. And I want to make sure that like we can collaborate with them on any of these policy things so that we're not working apart or against one another or anything like that too. And I wonder how we can foster that relationship a little bit better.
you want to try and have a work session with them? Or any of the other boards? Oh, it can be hard to schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it necessarily needs to be a work session, but
Uh-huh.
like. And one of us goes to a meeting a couple of times and brings these things up.
Also wonder if we could just send them out an email too, like once we get update, like draft updated goals, send it out to all the boards.
Mhm.
And they can talk about it at their meeting.
What's up?
Well, then they can talk about it at their meeting and
Yeah. And I imagine we won't get much feedback, but then at least like we're engaging with them, opening that door.
Mhm. Yeah, well, and I think I support Erica's, what, the third goal of the resilience action plan. I mean, we're kind of starting that with the CU project application, right? We do wanna get there eventually, so I would support that as kind of an overarching goal, I think, that encompasses a lot of things.
The nature-based solutions or the
Just
resilience,
resilience.
just resiliency planning?
Most of my thoughts there.
Okay. Um, do you want to be able to vote on final goals like at the December meeting, if we have one in December? Ideally.
Yeah.
So then have one,
December is what we aim for.
yeah, and I was
It
gonna,
doesn't have to January, it doesn't have to January.
yeah. I was gonna look at,
Yeah.
I was gonna pull up that poll that I sent out. I don't know.
I don't think I ever filled it out, but
Okay.
I'm pretty available at that time.
Okay. So let's see. Um, yeah, not to switch gears into that. We can talk about that once we're done with this item.
Um. I suppose we'll compile what we talked about tonight of those priority areas, and then some of the continuing areas, we'll get Jack's feedback,
Mhm.
because he's not here. Is anybody else not here? Ty?
Kai's not here, and then Rab left probably because of the baby.
Yeah, and we're like half an hour past our meeting end time, so that's fine. And then. You just want me to bring a goals draft to you the next meeting? And I would love for somebody else to help with it.
I'll help with it.
I could say I can help and then realistically I would be absent. Unless you want to meet for coffee. If you want to meet for coffee, then we could definitely spend time.
Okay. I hear no objections to that.
No objection.
No.
I don't think anyone's
I think
gonna
it would be
object.
healthy also to say like, let's shoot to adopt these before the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So that gives us 2 days.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, do we have dates for our next 2 meetings?
So I was
Which she
gonna,
was looking up, and I think if we're done with goals, we can go there.
so I got 4 responses, which is more than I expected. So the for November meeting, the typical date would be, I think, on Thanksgiving, the 27th. So the one that got the most votes was Thursday, November 13th, which is 2 weeks before our typical meeting and would be 1, 2, 3 weeks from now. Okay. The other dates were November 17th, November 19th, and November 24th, which all received the same number of votes. So,
Was it more than 3?
it's not showing, it's showing me percentages. Let's see.
I couldn't do the 19th now. I had something else.
You can't do the 19th either? Okay.
17th, 19th, and what was the other one?
24th, Monday,
I
November.
can do the 24th. I could also do the 19th.
I'd vote for the 24th.
Can you do the 17th?
Flying back that day,
Okay.
so, even if I'm here on time, I'll be falling asleep.
Would the 24th work for me?
We could do the 24th.
I can do the 24th.
I can do any of them.
Okay.
17th is Boulder County's compost meeting. They're doing an update.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In the evening?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if it's on my calendar. I'll look. I need to look that up.
But if the 24th works for folks, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not her.
Yep.
You want to object to the 24th?
I think you gotta vote on it, right?
I don't,
Or do you? Okay, we don't need to vote on it.
unless someone objects.
I, Melody Baumhover, move that we reschedule our November meeting to Monday, November 24th at 6:45 PM.
I, Rich Orman, second.
We'll do a yay nay vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay.
No
Okay,
one.
what about December?
So for December, sorry, I just had it.
Better make a motion just in case.
So the thing with December was that there was no one that stood out, and the top three were December 11th, Thursday, December 11th, Monday, December 15th, and Wednesday, December 17th. Okay. Can anyone else do the
16th?
Monday, the 15th?
The 15th or the 17th would be fine for me. I could make the 11th work. But I'd rather have it be that next week.
I could do the 15th or the 17th.
Let's do the 15th.
Okay. And as long as everyone here can make it, we'll have quorum.
Yeah.
So,
It is the first item.
I, Melody Baumhover, move that we reschedule our December regular SAB meeting to December 15th, Monday at 6:45 PM.
I, Rich Orman, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Passed. Any other business? If not, I will move to adjourn the meeting at 9:21 PM.
Hey, Tim Raven will second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Meeting adjourned.
great.
Right.
So I'll be texting you a bit earlier about attendance for the next 2 months.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.